Let me know if you have any questions. Like, my students are always asking, how did you get to that color? Like, you just know. Well, part of it's experience. I've been mixing colors for, almost 20 years. And color mixing is probably one of my biggest fun passions in the art business anyway. I have lots of fun passions, but I love to mix colors. So I spend quite a bit of time doing it for my students. So experience is a big part of it. And the other part is knowing what your colors can do for you. All right, so here's our base color for the turquoise. Thanks, honey. And how do we get to the other colors, the other values, sorry. Well, we're gonna add white. So we're gonna go back to the other plate. Again, put it right next to it, not mix it in, because what people do more times than not is they'll mix the whole thing in and then have trouble remixing the same color. So if you just pull it to the side like you've been watching me do, and then pull it in, you get an idea of the ratio of base color to white to get that next value that I'm going for. And I think I instinctively probably grabbed the right amount. Nice, not quite Caribbean turquoise, but I kind of was, it was kind of a little bit too green for me in the sky earlier. So I think, again, instinctively, I just, I went a little bit more blue, wanting blue in my sky earlier. So do I have any acrylic painters out there listening today? Nice. Every once in a while I am actually wiping off my palette knife so I don't grab a color and muddy up that color. That's another kind of an important thing that people don't talk about too much. It's so beginner that we don't mention it when we're painting a long time. So I have the base and I've got two values, the lightest value and then the middle light value. Now I'm gonna mix with the blue and the brown. Yes, I just muddied up that blue, that brown with that blue. This is gonna be like a grayed down version of that blue, which will then become the darkening agent for the sky color. And a lot of times you can't see, it just looks black. So what I do is just kind of drag the palette knife through there, just to make sure it's not too green. And I don't think it is. This is also going to be a color that we'll use in our distant hills. We talked this morning that the more atmosphere that you see between you and part of a landscape, the more it'll have like the atmosphere color, which is generally the sky or whatever the sky is casting, the sunset, sunrise, or daytime. But an artist will use the sky color to marry the land and the sky colors together to get that perception of distance. So now I've got the darkest dark and I have the base color, which as you can see, I didn't make enough of. Did I do that on purpose? I absolutely did. So this morning I talked about that, is we often don't make enough of our base. So I'm gonna go back and take that good portion of the base. I'm gonna leave a little bit there so I can color match it. I'm gonna put it over here next to it so I don't lose that color. But that will help me get back to the same color that was the base color for all of these. And now that I have the ratio, it shouldn't be a problem to go back in. And again, I'm doing the same thing, putting it to the side. Kind of pressing down with the palette knife so I can see through the white of the plate. and I'm comparing it to the colors I see over here, which it might be varied a little bit. It's not exact science. I hope you can hear the music. That's probably the biggest part of what we love around here. It's just listening to the relaxing music, taking a deep breath, having a little bit of fun. All right, we have a perfect color match right there. So I'm gonna scoop up the rest of that, put it back where it was. My students call me the mixing master. Sometimes it's a lot of pressure, but really I just love mixing. All right, so we have enough of a value scale for a sky. So we're gonna bebop over to our land colors. And again, why don't we take a peek at what we're painting? But this morning's class didn't have that benefit. This I just kind of created from my head. So you can kind of see how we're going to use those colors and white, clearly, to get the white of the down by the horizon line. And so what we're going to mix next is all these fun colors in here. So that's going to be maybe a little bit of a surprise to each of you, that we're going to involve green and brown. Maybe not. A lot of people, when I go for the brown, when I'm mixing grass colors, it's kind of a shocker. I do have this this green over here, which is what I mixed, and I'm just gonna admit it, I was not paying attention. I was distracted by music and false starts for the live feed. So I'm gonna just leave that there, but I'm gonna get a new base color because it's not brown enough for me. So I'm gonna actually start with brown. I'm gonna put the green right next to it. And again, put it right next to it, not in it, not make one big solid, because I really want to get to know the ratio so I can remix again like I did with the turquoise. How we doing, Dan? We got any questions?
Yeah.
Who's with us? Who we got with us? Who can I say hi to?
Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Sherry.
Aw, hi, Sherry.
And I don't know who else. It shows 10, but I can't see who.
Well, if you guys comment, I can say hi to you. All right. Now I get to explain why I didn't like that color. I really do like that color, but it's not a good base color. So now I can show you why. So here's the sky color, and here's the base color for what's going to be the foreground. So that's what we call a warmer palette. That's a warmer green. And that's going to put the grass color forward. Our eye will perceive that as being closer. It's not always the case. Nothing is always the case. But generally speaking, when you are doing a foreground, it's generally going to be a warmer color, which means it's going to have more yellow in the base. This is clearly too blue. Well, it's clearly if I put it in the camera's view. This over here is got a little bit more blue, actually quite a bit more blue. And so this is going to be our nice base. I'm still going to use that because we have a whole bunch of grass to make. So we're not going to let that go to waste. So I'm going to use that center part and just grab some blue and get a darker version of what we made before to darken up the turquoise. And it is just too blue for me, so I'm going in with some yellow. And I'm going in, oh, see, that wasn't right. I'm not teaching you nicely. I put it right in the middle because I knew it was the right amount. So if I'm teaching you best practice, put it on the side. So I'm just basically looking for a dark, muddy green. And I'm going to put it over here. That's going to be my darkest dark. And then I'm going to add some lighter shades of lighter green. So I have dark, middles, and much lighters. Very technical terms. Dark, middles, and lighter lighters. Sometimes I get tired of saying the word values. So I invent words. Those who know me know that to be true. Ah, boy, this feels good. Just listening to music, chilling out in the studio with my hubby, hanging out with you guys, and mixing paint. Eventually we will paint a canvas, I promise. All right, I'm gonna move this. This has become my nemesis here. Come on over here. Yes, I just talked to the paint. So now we need some lighter versions of this. Again, we're gonna start with the base. We're gonna plop that right in there again. We're gonna take some yellow. Hope you're not getting dizzy by me moving the plate around too much. Again, start right in the middle. Now the yellow is your weaker color, so you generally use a lot more of that. Not a lot more, but more than you will your base. And so what I'm looking at is that streak down the middle to see the impact it has on that green, because I'm working with two weak colors technically. Red is one of the strongest colors, is the strongest color, and blue is great for darkening, among other things. I think I've got a good ratio here. I can already tell I'm probably gonna not make enough, which is good practice for you to see me mix the paint, so I'm all right with that. So now I'm gonna take a bunch of yellow, and I'm purposefully putting it in with this amount that I have on the palette knife and this amount here, and all this mussy stuff in here, because I just want to marry all these colors together. You can do this much more specifically and very mathematically. I don't do anything that way, so yeah, there's that. I kind of go by feel, you know, pinch of this, a taste of that. That's how I cook too. There we go. It's a nice bright yellow. I think we're gonna end up with a little bit of a lighter field color. Then I'm gonna grab just a little bit of the yellow, little bit of the white, and then I'm gonna grab the base color, just a little bit. So I want kind of a mossy yellow green. Mossy yellow green. I think it's almost time to take that color chart out and start talking colors. Look at me making a mess of the palette. I put the lightest lights. You guys probably already saw that, didn't you? I got the lightest lights going in this direction. Hi, Carol. Aw, is that Winoki? Hi, honey. How are ya? I am over here messing up my value scale. That is what I'm doing. I'm going to move that dark color over here. There's a reason why I'm doing this. And just messing this up all over the place. So this is our base. This is our medium value. And then we've got lighter colors over here. We're going to hit this with a fan brush in a few minutes once we get to our rolling Irish hills. So there we have it. We have enough of a value scale with our greens and a value scale with our blues to start our painting. Anybody interested in watching painting? All right, let's vote. Who wants to watch painting? I'm gonna put this aside, but I'm still gonna kind of have it hang out because I'm likely gonna dip into the white and the yellow on the original plate. And there we go. We got most of it in there. We're gonna start at the top with the, let's put that over there. Just so you can see what I got going on. We're gonna start at the top with the sky. So I'm gonna start with a soft brush. I am kind of in love with angle brushes, so you'll see me use angle brushes more than anything else. I like them because the tip can be used for detail work, or I can do a thin line or go through something like, you know, bushes or hills. And I have that nice tip, and I'll flip it over and I'll do kind of an organic, it's called scumbling kind of approach to some texture. I'll try and remember to do that in the hills that you don't quite get with a regular squared off wash brush. So, and it's got a nice well on it, so I'm going to be able to pick up enough paint. So that's my choice of paint brushes today. And for the most part, most beginnings start with the middle values, which is this guy right here. And I'm going to grab both the middle value and white. So I've got this nice clump of paint on both sides. And that I like to show students as often as possible. Because most people, when they start painting, not all, but most, will start with this little bit of paint, and they'll push that paint as far as they can, and then they'll go and grab a little bit more, and then they'll try and cover as much of the canvas as they can. And before you know it, they're just kind of painting like this, and then they'll finally, after this, they'll go pick up more paint. That's how most people start out, not all. And I love to introduce this idea of wet on wet. Like if you have enough paint to start out with, so I'm gonna get paint all over, and it's gonna be enough paint, and just put some on, grab some more, put some on, grab some more, put some on, grab some more. Not so I'm sculpting with it, but so it stays wet long enough for me to play around. Maybe I want to put a nice little wispy cloud in there or something like that. Gosh, I just sound like Bob Ross, didn't I? Sometimes I can't help it because I grew up with Bob Ross. He was my bud. So now I've got this nice area of blue, and I've got some movement in it, which is nice. I'm not going for like a white puffy cloud, not in this demo anyway. I just want kind of a stage for something to set in, so it's going to be really super simple, nothing to it, quick landscape for maybe something else, like to go back into it, put some trees or something like that. So now what I'm going to do is I took all that paint off my brush without using any water, because water is going to dilute the paint that I just put down. So this is just how I paint. Not all artists will paint that way. But I'll start at the bottom, and my brush is literally halfway into the blue and halfway on fresh or white or untouched canvas. And that is an easy way. I'll show you how much white I'm getting. This is an easy way to get a gradient. Now what's a gradient? Well, it goes back to the values again. So I put this white right here, and then I'll just go up a little, down a little, up a little, down a little, up a little, down a little. And I've changed my pressure. Before it was like, get that paint on that canvas. Now it's barely touching, so I'm feathering it. And what that helps prevent is, I don't know if you've ever painted with acrylic paint and you're going like this and every brush stroke is dab, dab, and then you see those little marks. Well, if you start to use the side of the brush instead of the tip, you see I angle it this way and barely touch it. Almost want to try and grab the top of it. It's a nice way to get a nice feather, you know, those clouds that go across the sky, and it kind of looks like somebody dragged the clouds right across the sky. Nice. Now, love that I showed you that. I've got a little dry brush area down here, and I didn't mean to go back over. I was just having a blast. So I'm gonna pick up some more white. I'm gonna re-add that white because it dried out. Just push that back up there. I'm in control of this paint and this canvas. And push. There we go. Now if we take the brush and go up here and grab some blue and then go down to here, you will absolutely get blue in this nice white horizon area that I've created. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stop. I'm kind of liking the sky right now. It's a little different than this morning sky, but I'm alright with that too. What I'm going to do now is just give you a couple hill lines so you can kind of imagine what's in my head. I mean, I can kind of see what I'd like to create, but I'd like you to see where my head is. So let's do this, just a couple of rolling hills. Yes, I'm talking to myself. We all talk to ourselves, right? Have you ever met an artist that didn't talk to themselves? Let's do this. I'm going to complicate this just a little bit. Put some... I don't know if you can see those lines, but those are perspective lines. So I'm going to give that brush a rest. It's got white in it, and it may not do what I want it to do later if it's got white in it. A little unpredictable. I'm going to go with a smaller brush. It's squared, not my favorite, but it's going to be a nice fit in this area here. I'm going to go back to the green plate, take a little bit of that, and a little bit of the sky color, because remember what I said earlier, we put the sky color into our landscape colors to give it depth. And yes, my sky is still wet. I wanted it wet still. So I'm just gonna emphasize that wet on wet, soft look, which is kind of one of my favorites. I do miss already, it's only been today, I miss already mixing colors and painting and being with my community, but I'm so grateful that we get to use this platform in any way that we can to connect and just hear each other's voices and share what's going on. So let's take a little bit more of the lighter green. So I want light, distant colors. And for this one, I wanted it to be just a little bit different temperature, which means there's a little more blue in the base of this, a little more yellow in the base of this. My students say, how can she see that? Well, if you think about it logically, the blue was the darker color in our original palette, and the yellow is the lighter color. So that's one way to kind of simplify it. It's like I said, it's not rocket science. That was a little darker than I wanted it to be, but can you see this on the screen where I'm working? Can you see this on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Just want to make sure I wasn't off screen.
You're 25 seconds behind or ahead.
Alright.
Yeah, you may want to slide it over just a little bit.
Yeah. So I took some of the sky color and put it over. I don't know if you were listening when I said, ooh, I went a little darker than I wanted to. And so how I corrected that was I just took some sky color and put it over it. I love this light that's coming through, because in my vision it's coming warmer and warmer as it comes forward. So I'm going to go right to the base color in here, and we're not ready to go this dark yet. So I'm going to take the base color and also the base color of the sky, just a little bit. I'm going to start working some of that into here. Now, because it's a little bit closer, I'm going to start dabbing it. So before it was going like this. Now I'm going to start dabbing. Why is that? Because I want some texture to show through. Because that will show that it's coming forward just a little bit. So as things get in the distance, we see less and less texture. So we use different strokes, different brushes, different value value ratios, light to dark, to I went and stole some of the dark color. I don't know why I did that. I didn't want to do that. So we're gonna warm it back up because that had too much blue in it. There we go. Nice. I left a little bit of space right here, and so that is because I want to put a little bit of sky color at the top of this hill, and I'm going to lighten it just a little bit. I know as I come forward I'm going to get some darks in there, so I don't want this to get too dark too fast. It'll fight with the foreground. So while it's still wet, I'm just going to put some different texture brushes. Just kind of move the brush. This is called scumbling. That word makes me miss Phil. There we go. I'm also cleaning up the edge of the top of the hill. Nice. All right, let's start on our next hill. I'm going to take the brush. It's a little mucky with too many different colors, so I'm not rinsing it off. I'm just kind of like pulling off the excess so I can be more confident about what colors are on my brush. So now I'm going to go all in with green. This is going to get warmer. Push the sky plate away. And I think I'm going to go back to a larger brush. Now that this is, yeah, there we go. Kind of fill this in. And now we're going to go for that nice light mossy yellow. Mossy yellow. call it what you want. And I put in some perspective lines earlier because I wanted to do something just a little bit different than I did this morning. And I talked about planes, which is what our eye perceives as, this is could potentially be some close-up flowers down here, and then you have maybe some not so close-up flowers, and then you have some foliage, maybe even the same flowers, but there's these lines of foliage that go back. I call those planes, just to kind of give students something to grab onto. So what I'm going to do is, in between those lines I made, I'm just going to mesh in here. Yep, technical term. Some light colors. Kind of give myself a base. Again, I'm not working off a picture, I'm just going off my head. I've done some of these landscapes before and I've taught them before, so probably a combination of a lot of different images that are kind of stuck in my head. So I'm already getting that sense of depth, and that's because the lines go from wide to narrow. And it gives you a sense of direction, a sense of where the artist wants your eye to look. So it gives us a little bit of an area to play with. Now I'm going to put this down and we're going to go to the yummy brushes, the fan brushes. We love these. So, well, maybe not everybody, but I know I do and a lot of my students do. So I'll show you a little bit about fan brushes. I'll show you my least favorite. That would be this one. This is a synthetic fan brush. And, you know, no judgment if you love these. Honestly, they sell because, you know, people see them on the market. So clearly people have use for them. I don't. They tend to, once you get them wet, I wonder if I can get it wet and kind of show you what it does. Yep, it's already doing it. Look, it has already separated. And so what you get is almost like a uniform blob. And it just gives you some really funky lines. And it doesn't give you a lot of control to be organic and uncontrolled. These are natural hair brushes, real cheapies. And then I take a razor blade to them and I chop them up this way and I chop them up that way to get that uneven look. This is a little bit more rounded. This is a little bit more choppy. And this one is actually my favorite. You can tell because it's taped up and I've been kicking this one around for years. It probably came in a pack of 20 for like $5. And we all love it dearly. We respect it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use these values to just get this sense of these rows of foliage going back. And this is partially wet on wet because I'm putting the paint on the dry canvas, but I'm also partially into the yellow, which is still wet. And as it goes back, it's going to get less and less texture. As it comes forward, I'm going to start to get a little bit more darkness. So I'm going to go to this value scale and I'm picking, or this part of the value scale, and I'm picking up several different colors. And then you'll start to see the contrast in the beginning, which will put this forward on the in your perception of where it is. And then I can't really move the canvas around, so instead I'm going to move my brush. It's a little awkward. Now, because I was chattery, this went and dried on me, so it's an easy fix. I'm just going to go back in and put enough so it's not tacky and I can still work on it wet on wet. You can do that with the sky. This is easier because there's not a lot, there's nothing else except for the yellow, so I'm not trying to match any texture or color except for one color. All so now let's give it some direction here. I don't want it to all go this way and that way. So now I'm picking up some of that yellow, going in, going out, just like I did earlier in the sky, just with a different brush. So this is what I would call blocked in. Not looking for a finished, beautiful piece. I'm looking for something to set the stage. Maybe there's someone standing in the field that's about to go pick some flowers, or I don't know what's in my head. I haven't gotten that far about why I'm painting this piece. I just started kind of envisioning rows of yellow and green. Diane Graffley, she was in the room earlier with us. She painted this gorgeous painting with bright yellow flowers, and maybe that inspired me subconsciously. So as I'm going back here, this is going to be more distant. So I'm picking up more of the yellow, which I'm almost running out of. And it's getting lighter and lighter, and now I'm just kind of like cleaning off my brush almost. I don't want to get a lot of detail or hard lines. I don't want that contrast, that dark contrast color back there, because I want the eye to be down here. So if I put this color here and there, the eye will fight and try and fight with itself to say, well, is that closer? Is it unfinished? There we go. Nice. How's it looking so far? Give me a critique out there, public. What do you think? So I'm going back to the original color so I can back it off and get, just like I did before, get your base color going. Put your base color down.
Diane says great perspective.
Thank you, Diane. Scooping up a little bit of that base color that I left there and the messiness of it. And then I'm adding as much of the yellow and the white that I needed to get back to here. And there we go. We are back in business. So I'm going to go back to this brush here, because by now you may have guessed this is all dried. So because it's all one color, it's gonna, oop, I need a little bit more white in there. There we go. That was a little too dark for me. That's still wet, but I'm just gonna, by the time I get to it, that's gonna be too dry to work wet on wet. Good. Sorry if it's shaky, but every once in a while my glasses hit the camera.
You need to move the picture towards the edge.
This way?
Yep.
All right, so now you can see in here just fine. Let's do it a little bit more. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna be back to the fan brush. That was just filling in with the yellow that I had to remix so that I could go wet on wet. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side that I did on that side. We are coming to a close on this. So I'm gonna start off with the dark this time. kind of challenge myself. Why is it a challenge? Because it's going to get dark really fast. Before I eased into it, and I went in with the middle values, I'm going to break that up just a little bit. Again, this is scumbling with a fan brush. I did not make up that term. For a long time I thought my mom made up that term, but it's actually like in the books. It's an actual term. And it's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna go back in the middle. This is that color that I wasn't crazy about, but it's really super dark, so I like that idea of going dark in this corner. And darken this corner. See, I knew I was going to use that color eventually. There are no mistakes. So I generally paint pretty fast. It comes from not really caring how it comes out. Yeah. I'm just having fun with color. I'm playing with the different textures I'm getting. This may or may not turn out to be something that I want to use. So I don't really have an attachment to it. So I'm just literally having fun. Listening to the music. Relaxing with some Facebook friends. And for me, that's what art's about. I mean, it's nice if somebody wants to buy the painting. I'm good with that. But to be honest, it's really about the process. And it has been for most of my career. So I love teaching it. So if any of my students are out there, I would love to hear if I offered any new information during this session. You can private message me too. You may have missed the beginning part of it. So now I'm just kind of playing with texture. This is the fun part. So this light against dark, that's the contrast I was looking for. This is what brings it forward. I like these light areas in here, but I want to break them up just a little bit. So I'm just dabbing with hardly any paint on my brush, just to kind of disrupt the surface. Now this got a little too dark, but I kind of like the idea of it going back to this one spot. This one spot on the canvas really wants to be something like, I don't know, wants to be like some ancient stones back there. And I think what's happened with this other corner over here, the more warmth that I see in the painting, this looks like ocean over here. So in my imagination, this has become an ocean scene. So I do believe that that would be part of an Irish landscape. What do you think, babe? Some seascape?